The Dauntless. The pause is amazing as the entire restaurant suddenly turns to regard him. What? It's not like you people are subtle. Well, it's less about people being subtle as people just letting things happen. Yes, that keeps confusing me about this place. It's so weird. Do people really have nothing better to do than endless spy games that amount to nothing? Modan asks, and one of the women at the counter turns to regard. Well, it's more about making your voice heard, the rabbi states. And how do you accomplish that on the most population-dense, politically loud, and overcrowded planet in the galaxy? Modan asks. This isn't the most overcrowded planet in the galaxy, Jadza states. You're kidding, Modan replies with his eyes going wide. What's more packed in than Centris? Metroplex, Jadza's co-worker replies, and Modan considers. Metroplex? He asks, and his mind goes right to giant robots. The constructed world. It used to be a gas giant, but all the gases were siphoned off, the core mined to nothingness and the ring harvested to depletion. Then the infrastructure became a massive housing complex. Then the services to support those people came in, and it just kept building on itself and building on itself until there was an entire world of metal. I see. You weren't one of the girls stationed nearby last night, but you're still bothered, aren't you? Modan asks her, and she's taken aback. How precise are your axiom senses? With the techniques I've developed, extremely. I need them to keep track of the things I'm trying to create. Such as? You'll have to ask Jadza tomorrow if she decides to watch the upcoming duel. The duel, as in the duel with the empty hand master that challenged you. The woman asks, and Modan nods. He then glances around as that response has a great deal of note-taking erupt from all the spies and secret society handlers. Wait, an empty hand master. Someone begins to speak, and there's an interruption as 3 men enter the restaurant. Nearly instantly, one of them catches a data chip being tossed at them, and 2 women leave the building. Oh, son of a bitch, that's me out of Kutha Peace, Modan mutters, and there's laughter. I told you they just throw them at us. Amadi replies as Koa just chuckles. I still don't know why. No matter what we do, it's some kind of code to someone somewhere that we're their messengers. Reggie says with a baffled expression. Conspiracy critical mass, it looks like. No matter what you do, someone somewhere has specifics that match you. Couple that with a probability waveform, which is the primary means in which most people teleport, which is a very popular way of getting around, and all of a sudden a lot of people are in the right place at the right time to get what they want. Well, either that or it's a bad attempt at flirting. Oh, here's our super secret club. Don't you want to be part of it? Pretty please? That does make a great deal of sense, Koa admits, and then scans the room again. There are several women who have gotten up, likely to pass some information of some kind, but they're now slowly returning to their seats. So this will be the smallest take of unsolicited information so far. That many of the cultists, secret citizens, and other such people are now slipping out of the building just lends credence to that statement. So, having fun, nerd boy? Amadi asks as he slumps into his seat, and Modan just gives him an odd look. Something on my face? Hypocrisy. You're as much an axiom researcher as I am. Yeah, but you're a nerd. So are you. So? Amadi asks. I used hypocrisy earlier. Is it just a vocabulary word for you? With that accent? Yes. I don't have an accent in galactic trade. You don't have an accent in galactic trade. There is no miscommunication between us, Modan protests. Allegedly. Amadi pokes, and before he can provoke anything further, Koa makes a point of sitting between them. My apologies. My friend here doesn't want peace. He wants problems, Koa says. Oh, come on. I was so close to... Amadi begins to protest, and Reggie grabs him around the mouth and holds his jaw closed. The troublemaker puts his hands up in surrender and remains quiet when let go. Perhaps we should go, Modan remarks as he rises up. There's some visible annoyance on him, and Amadi sucks in a breath audibly to start going at him again, and stops when Reggie turns to give him the stink eye. "What the pits? Where are they?" someone demands as they march in. They check their communicator and glare at the time display. "Damn fools! Do they not want a courier?" Amadi snorts so hard he actually hurts himself a little as Koa's eyes scrunch up and Reggie shakes as he tries not to laugh. "Beg your pardon," Modan says as he leads Jadza out of the compromised restaurant. "Everything's been paid for anyway, so it's all fine." "Who were those three?" Jadza asks after the door closes. "Amadi, Koa, and Reggie, in the order of the annoying one, the big one, and the pale one. An adept specializing in illusions, a heavy weapons master, and a combat-ready mechanic. They, along with about a dozen other small groups, have a knack for finding themselves mistaken as couriers for Centris's innumerable conspiracies. So that's their average shift rotation. Wander around Centris, wait for someone to slip you some classified information and turn it in when you get home. They've gotten up to so much nonsense it's actually impressive. And you don't like them? It's Amadi I've got the problem with. He's an irreverent jerk. He's also very good, but it only takes a few times with him using illusions to mess with test results before you want to physically throw him through the nearest wall. I would have thought a military would be more united. Oh, don't be confused by things. He's still a fellow soldier, and that means that when things start happening, I'm going to be shoulder to shoulder with him without hesitation. But that doesn't mean I have to like him personally or want to spend any more time around him than strictly required." "What about the other two?" "Koa's a stoic and patient man. No one has anything to complain about, and Reggie is a recovering cynic, so he's outright becoming more tolerable." "What made him a cynic?" Jadza will gladly take the information if he's being so free with it. Being undaunted takes a special kind of person, and there's only a few ways to get it: obsession, experience, or sheer insane will. Reggie had a harder go of it than me. He had all the experience he needed to get through the harder parts of undaunted training. "Oh, well, was it really so bad? Past that first month?" she asks, gesturing to his chest. "There was a lot of shrapnel, Jadza," he says. "It took a full 10 years before it was confirmed that we found and removed all of it. There were so many waiting for treatment and so few doctors to get everything in order. Someone like me that was living in minimal pain, as they called it, was low priority to get an X-ray and see a surgeon. Couldn't they have used older images and skipped the X-rays? No. I was young when I was hit. My body was changing. So the shrapnel that was really deep had organs and muscles and bones growing all around them. More than one got buried very, very close to major veins and organs." He explains even as he jabs a thumb into his torso to indicate a rib. "Or in some places the growth caused part of my skeleton to even hide the metal. I can scarcely even imagine enduring such a thing, let alone with such primitive technology. Comparatively primitive to immortality and regeneration, but otherwise quite skilled." Modan retorts in defense of the small army of people that had worked long and hard to keep him living and healthy. Their walk takes them to a public park where there's a duel between a pair of metak. The two small, dark forms are darting around and making passes at each other with their wings in ever-shifting configurations to try and get around the defenses of the other, but neither is really testing the other all that much. The fight is entirely lacking in seriousness, but regardless, there is still a woman on her communicator complaining about a public disturbance. "There's always someone trying to ruin things for other people," Modan notes with disapproval. "I heard that," the woman on the communicator protests. "Good," he calls out with force. "Seems a strange thing to get worked up about," Jadza says. "Maybe, but, I've spoken about myself quite a bit though. It feels kind of unfair. Can I hear a story about you instead?" he asks, and she considers before the comforting weight of her honor blade gives her an idea. How much do you know about Yaoya culture? She asks. I've read a primer or two, he replies. Then, you know that these retractable wrist blades are not just handed out without a care. Well, technically anyone can make one, but it's immensely disrespectful to do so without earning the right? He asks. Exactly. These are the mark of an accomplished hunter. You don't need to wear them when you're a hunter, but if you wear them, then you best be a hunter or be ready to prove yourself. And how best do you prove yourself? Well, generally by hunting something that by all rights should be hunting you. Like, say, a squadron of extremely well-trained soldiers on an alien planet. He teases lightly. Oh my goddess, that movie was insane, she exclaims. A gay man with murderous impulses trying and failing to express his love. You know that movie was filmed as a horror-turned-action movie, right? He teases her and she gives him a slight bop on the arm. It was a tragic romance and you can't possibly convince me otherwise. He rips out a man's skull and spine. A tragic keepsake. You're mocking me, right? He realizes. Just caught on, have you? She asks as her cheek claws flutter a bit in amusement. It's obvious what the movie was about, especially as the Yaoya looked more like a monster than a person, but it was close enough to have fun with. Oh my goodness, you had some fun dreams about. He begins to say with a big smile, and she smacks him on the arm. It's around then that the police arrives to break up the fight. But then, one of the duelers give the officers a sign that's countersigned, and they turn on the woman that called them over. Oh, the war maiden way. Okay, Jadza states. You know this conspiracy? They're trying to make public duels, honor duels, and basically duels in general legal on all grounds. I knew they got into the police a bit, but I wasn't expecting them to be so blatant. So the question is, are they being blatant because they have a lot of power, or because these ones have the subtlety of a brick through a window? Modin asks. Honestly, it could go either way. Jadza answers after a moment. Okay, so back on topic. What did you hunt to earn the right to forge and wield an honor blade? Have you ever heard of a world called Maribor? In passing, I think. There's a very deadly species of ambush predator there called the Mar-Yatha. They can score hypercrete, their blades are so tough. I made the edge of my first honor blade from that. And this one? Much more streamlined and easily maintained. A big prize to hang on the wall is nice, but they're usually not the most useful in battle. She answers before suddenly getting an idea. Hey, how's your agility level? Decent, I think. Care to put it to the test? There's this wonderful place called Defenestration Nation. It's a great deal of fun.